no kids now.
He
Don't
talking
play
about,
with
hey,
King.
come on, man. What? Come on, bro.
King said
You
he
talking about
created
King
the term standing on
T.I.P.
business.
son?
Yes, King.
He said he pulling up on.
The internet is lit right now and the streets can't stop buzzing. T.I. and Tiny's son, King Harris, has been flexing like he's really about that life. But this latest viral jail clip has everyone asking one critical question. Was he ever truly cut out for it, or was it just an image he could never actually maintain? Let's break it down, because what happened behind those bars is exposing far more than just King's tough talk. This isn't just another suburban kid trying to make noise in the hood. This is the son of Clifford Ty Harris, the self-proclaimed king of the South, and Tamika Tiny Harris.
Just made this offer to my boy Tootie. I'm gonna let the world know this offer. I told my dog all he gotta do is come to the gym with me, and I'm gonna get him set up with some veneers on me.
He was born into fame, money, and clout most could never dream of. But here's the twist. Sometimes privilege isn't a blessing at all. When desperation kicks in to prove you're really street certified, it can quickly become a curse. King's story is shaping up to be a textbook case of that very curse. The drama came crashing down on October 14, 2024. What should have been a routine traffic stop turned into a full-blown scandal that rattled his entire image. Picture this.
I'm so puzzled why King feels the desire, need, want to be considered a street dude that badly. Why is he so obsessed with the struggle, with the life of being a street dude? Street dudes ain't really winning.
King leaving a Chevron gas station in his BMW, likely feeling untouchable, swerving across double yellow lines like the entire world was his stage. Then bam, he nearly smacks right into a police cruiser. That's not just reckless, that's a suicide move when you already know the laws are watching closely. Any streetwise figure knows rule number 1, never give cops a reason to look your way. But King, he clearly missed that vital lesson. As soon as the officer walks up to his car, the smell of loud hits immediately. And right there on King's hip, a loaded 9mm, sitting bold like a neon sign screaming, "Arrest me now." That's a rookie mistake straight out of the playbook of someone who studied the streets on Instagram, not someone who's truly survived them in real life. But the situation flips from bad to even worse. The cop runs his info and boom, an active bench warrant lights up from Pickens County. Turns out King skipped court back in August 2022 on a case already tied to speeding charges. That slip sealed the deal. "Can I call my lawyer?" he asked, but that's not just messy, it's sloppy. And then the footage hits the internet. Body cam video shows King in a completely different light.
DJ Academics gave probably the most brutal but accurate commentary on the whole situation.
In reality, he got arrested for a failure to appear ticket for a traffic violation, so they arrested him. But we know this is King, so we're just gonna call it. We're gonna call it that they locked him up for a body.
Forget the IG Live energy where he swears he'll pull up on anybody. This wasn't the same chest-out, tough-talking King Harris. This was a rattled kid looking lost, frustrated, and visibly shaken by his own legal mess. He kept insisting he had no outstanding cases, swearing that DUI was dismissed. But the system doesn't run on what you think, it runs on cold records. Warrants don't just vanish because you claim so. That's the real kicker, his carefully built image colliding with reality in the ugliest way possible. One moment he's screaming about standing on business, the next he's exposed in undeniable fashion. The next moment, he's caught on tape, cooperative, confused, and completely clueless to the bigger reality unfolding. It's starting to look less like a street prince rising and far more like a privileged kid stumbling through lessons he never truly learned. When officers dug deeper into King's BMW, the truth spilled out like a verse gone wrong. Lying to act slick, he preemptively told them there were multiple firearms inside, including an AR-15 style rifle, along with additional weapons belonging to his passengers. That single move exposed everything.
So what they send my warrant for?
So your warrant is for a failure to appear. Dispatch is gonna call in and make sure it's still valid.
Failure to appear where? I didn't have no court dates.
For a DUI out of Pickens County.
Out of Pickens County?
Could you go and confirm that one?
The only DUI, I had a suspicion of a DUI a long time ago and it was dismissed, so I don't know what they can be talking about.
Anyone with real experience in the streets knows the first rule: never volunteer information to law enforcement. Silence is survival, but King broke that code before the search even began. He was caught in contradiction, telling officers, "Don't search my car," while simultaneously handing them a full inventory of what they were about to uncover. That's not toughness, that's nervous energy, the reaction of someone trying to appear composed while clearly unraveling under pressure. It highlighted the gap between image and reality in the harshest way. And this is where the situation shifted from embarrassing to dangerously serious. Because of King's prior juvenile felony conviction, this wasn't just a minor mistake or a routine charge. His possession of those firearms opened the door to potential federal prosecution. Specifically, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, an offense carrying heavy consequences. That kind of charge doesn't mean a few nights behind county walls. It means years of real prison time, with the possibility of mandatory sentencing guidelines ensuring there is no easy escape. For someone who had been loudly portraying himself as untouchable, this moment revealed just how fragile that persona truly was.
Hey, I don't want y'all to check the car.
I can't hear you.
I don't want y'all to search the car.
Well, I understand that, but if I smell weed, that's probable cause to search the vehicle.
You're not gonna find nothing. You're gonna find my gun.
The contradiction is wild, right?
What I would appreciate more than anything right now is to be able to make a phone call. So when we get there, we can already be figured
To
out.
who? Who are you trying to make a phone call to?
I'm trying to make a phone call to my pop.
As the arrest unfolded, the mask began slipping completely. Frustration carved across his face, his voice cracking as he repeatedly asked officers what they expected to find. The tough-talking persona broadcast across social media was dissolving in real time, replaced by someone visibly unprepared for the gravity of real consequences. That jailhouse energy hit harder than anything he had ever faced online. Officers hauled King first to DeKalb County Jail before extraditing him to Pickens County the very next day. But timing is everything, and this timing proved brutal. Courts were closed for Columbus Day, meaning he couldn't post bond right away, leaving him stuck behind cold steel. That's when reality finally set in. This wasn't a live stream that could be ended, nor a viral moment that could be spun into clout. This was the hard truth of incarceration: confinement, humiliation, and no easy escape. The warrant was eventually recalled, and King walked free on bond, but by then, the damage was irreversible. His charges were now public record for the entire world to dissect. And they weren't charges that carried any aura of street credibility. These weren't serious racketeering indictments or organized crime allegations. They were sloppy traffic violations and failure to appear warrants. Real veterans of the street world mocked the situation, labeling him a suburban gangster rather than a certified hustler.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
Man, Pickens County. I don't even know what Pickens County is. So I'm confused.
Where was your DUI?
Jasper
Jasper, is that a city or county?
County. Can I call my look?
And to make matters worse, the more the footage circulated, the more it eroded his self-made image. Instead of intimidation, the arrest became comedy material across the culture, adding fuel to critics who had long doubted his authenticity. All this chaos came immediately after King's baby shower with his girlfriend, Jania Epps. Imagine the contrast. On one hand, preparing to step into fatherhood, a moment that demands maturity and responsibility. On the other, chasing a reckless gangster image that could have him locked away before even holding his newborn child. That isn't legendary, it's reckless. Social media wasted no time, ripping into the situation with unfiltered commentary. Comments poured in like wildfire, mocking his desire to be seen as street certified. One user wrote, "You want to be a thug so bad?" while another joked that T.I. was going to let him sit in jail to learn the hard way. The internet, as always, showed no mercy. DJ Academics added his voice, delivering some of the coldest commentary. He pointed out the absurdity of King's desire for credibility, noting that people were clowning him so badly, they said his weak traffic violations would need to be rewritten just to sound tough. The narrative flipped from intimidation to comedy almost overnight. That's the tragic part. The arrest exposed the absurdity of flexing into a lifestyle that most real hustlers spend their lives trying to escape. King's arrest pulled back the curtain, revealing how deeply disconnected he was from the realities and consequences of street culture. And this wasn't just about King. The fallout cracked open the complicated father-son dynamic with T.I. For months, The rapper had been speaking tough in interviews, saying he was done bailing his son out and even hinting he'd cut him off financially if the reckless behavior continued. But when King actually sat behind bars, the story shifted. No matter how much T.I. wanted to stand firm, watching his son cuffed up must have cut deep. In that moment, even the self-proclaimed King of the South found out that playing hard against your own blood is easier said than done. His fame and industry connections had their limits. Ty couldn't wave a magic wand and make King's charges vanish into thin air. This time, his son was going to face the music like anyone else, no exceptions. When the body cam footage finally leaked in August 2025, it reignited debates about whether King was ever truly built for the life he portrayed. The video didn't show a fearless gangster. It showed a polite, rattled young man stumbling over his words, clearly overwhelmed and out of his depth. It was the complete opposite of the stand-on-business persona he broadcasted across social media for years. The internet feasted on the irony, dissecting every second of the footage, and the whispers only grew louder. King Harris was coming across as a character crafted for online attention, not a soldier living the realities of the streets. But the 2024 arrest was only the beginning of what would become a downward spiral. By mid-2025, new rumors started swirling. Word spread about King possibly being sentenced to 5 years in prison, even though no official records ever backed those claims. The gossip mill, however, didn't care about accuracy. Blogs ran wild, fans speculated endlessly, and Twitter threads turned rumor into gospel truth. Real or not, the narrative stuck, and the streets treated him like he had already flunked the biggest test of all. His tough talk had collided with real charges, and the results left cracks across the entire facade. Cooperation with police, confusion about his own warrants, and zero composure under pressure exposed everything. It became clear this wasn't the life he was cut out for. King was drowning in the very image he tried to build, and the storm was only intensifying. His troubles were no longer just legal, they were personal, sparking a domino effect of crises that would test the Harris family under relentless public scrutiny. Because when the streets decide you're not authentic, that label doesn't fade, it haunts you. It haunts the whole bloodline, and King's harshest lesson came wrapped in one of the most awkward family moments ever captured on camera. Flashback to November 2023 at the Atlanta Falcons game inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. King sat comfortably in a luxury suite, sipping on his drink while going live on Instagram, trying to convince both the world and his own father that he never had it easy. The irony was thicker than Atlanta traffic. This was the same young man born into privilege, lounging in one of the most expensive seats in the arena, insisting he knew struggle and stood on business. Fans immediately called out the contradiction, laughing at the clear disconnect between his words and his reality. The tension didn't stop there. King began throwing around the very phrase his father had made famous, trying to flip standing on business into his own identity. But T.I., watching it unfold in real time, wasn't about to let that slide unchecked. The King of the South confronted his own bloodline right there on live stream, correcting him for millions to see. As King's voice grew louder, frustration boiling over, T.I. shut it all down with one move, a headlock that silenced the argument instantly. It wasn't just a playful gesture, it symbolized a clash between generations, a father putting his son back in line when the bravado went too far. That moment wasn't merely a father-son spat, it was generational trauma exploding under the public eye, revealing cracks in the Harris household that wealth and fame couldn't cover. For all the luxury surrounding them, the clip became a metaphor. King was desperate to prove himself as hardened and untouchable, while his father exposed the truth with one undeniable action. No matter how much he flexed, the reality was impossible to hide. King was still a boy trying to wear a man's shoes, and the world wasn't buying it. Fame doesn't erase family dysfunction, it magnifies it, putting every flaw on display for millions. For King Harris, each slip-up has turned into a viral case study, a harsh example of what happens when hip-hop royalty collides with real-world expectations. His struggles highlight something deeper than reckless behavior. They cracked open the question he's been battling his entire life. When you're born into privilege, but the culture you idolize glorifies struggle, how do you truly define yourself? King's identity crisis has been playing out live, and every misstep has become fuel for the internet to dissect. Even Tiny, his own mother, accidentally added to the spectacle. During that infamous Falcons game blow-up, she admitted in front of millions that King was still sucking on a pacifier until he was 12 years old. That confession sent the internet into shambles. It instantly undercut his tough guy image because once the streets start roasting you over childhood embarrassments, it's nearly impossible to convince them you're cut out for war. And in the world of rap culture, the streets never forget. They'll weaponize every embarrassing detail, and clowns will remind you forever. But the dysfunction didn't suddenly appear in the spotlight. The foundation was shaky long before. If we rewind to 2019, the seeds were already planted. At just 14, King was begging his parents to let him drop out of school and be homeschooled so he could pursue rap full-time. That early ambition showed his hunger, but it also exposed how much he wanted validation from a culture that might never fully accept him. People laughed, but the message cut deeper than the memes. King Harris was still flexing money and pulling off tone-deaf stunts, ignoring the real problems staring him in the face. It was classic King, flashy, generous, loud, but completely missing the bigger picture. Looking back at the totality of King's story by 2025, what stands out is a perfect storm of privilege, poor choices, and consequences that no amount of wealth or family name could erase. His journey from protected celebrity child to alleged prison target stands as one of the most spectacular falls from grace in modern hip-hop history. But King's downfall is more than one reckless young man spiraling. It reflects a painful truth embedded in hip-hop culture itself. In this world, struggle is often valued more than success, and authenticity holds more weight than achievement. King, with every tool for a legitimate legacy at his fingertips, instead chased validation in the most self-destructive ways possible. The dysfunction inside the Harris household only added more fuel. Fame and wealth can hide cracks for a season, but under the microscope of public scrutiny, everything shattered in plain view. King's desperate attempts to carve an identity apart from his father's legendary status left scars not only on himself but on the entire Harris family brand. And that's what makes this story so tragic. It was avoidable. If King had focused on music, leveraged his family ties, and stepped through the doors already wide open, he could have written his own legacy. Instead, he chose clout, fake hardship, and public humiliation. The streets don't forgive, and they never forget. King Harris learned that lesson in the hardest way possible. Now the only question that remains, will he use that pain as fuel to finally build something real, or will he become another casualty in the endless war between privilege and street credibility? If you found this breakdown powerful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't miss the next video on your screen right now, it's one you don't want to skip.